Want to speak English so fluently that people think you're a native? Hey there, I'm An from ank'e English. Welcome to a powerhouse lesson tailored for intermediate to advanced English learners who are ready to supercharge their conversation skills and navigate any chat with confidence, charm, and ease. Today, I'm unlocking a goldmine of 50 must-have phrases and expressions to help you master the art of English conversation. Whether you're looking to keep a discussion flowing, politely interrupt, shift topics, tackle sensitive issues, or wrap things up smoothly. This video is your ultimate guide to sounding natural and engaging in any English-speaking scenario. So grab a notebook, get cozy, and let's dive into this conversation masterclass that'll keep you hooked for over 25 minutes. Conversations are like a river, constantly moving, twisting, and turning based on who you're talking to, the setting, and the vibe of the moment. It's not just about sticking to one topic. It's about having a versatile toolkit to handle every shift, from keeping the chat lively to steering it back on course when it wanders. I'm sharing practical, everyday phrases that native English speakers use all the time to make their conversations dynamic and engaging. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll reveal advanced strategies for navigating controversial topics with finesse, so you can share your views confidently without stepping on toes. If you're newer to English and want to start with the basics of sparking a chat, check out my beginner-friendly lesson linked in the description. Let's kick things off with one of the most powerful ways to keep a conversation alive: inviting others to share their thoughts. When you've shared an idea or opinion, bringing the other person into the discussion is a fantastic way to build connection and keep the conversation flowing. So, how do you do it? A simple, "What's your take on this?" works like magic. Or try, "I'm really curious. What do you think about that?" For a more polished tone, say, "I'd love to hear your perspective on this." In a professional setting, like a team meeting or a formal discussion, you might go with, "Could you weigh in on this?" Or, "What are your thoughts on this matter?" These open-ended questions spark deeper, more thoughtful responses and show you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say. They're like an invitation to keep the conversation vibrant and two-sided. Now, let's talk about those moments when you need to jump into a conversation that's already in full swing. Interrupting can feel tricky, especially if you're worried about coming across as rude, but it's all about doing it with respect and tact. If you need to cut in, try a polite, "Pardon me, may I add something here?" It's concise and shows you value the speaker. In a casual setting, a quick, "Can I chime in for a sec?" feels natural and friendly. For a more formal scenario, like interrupting a client or colleague, go with, "Excuse me for a moment, I'd like to share a thought," or, "May I interject briefly?" These phrases signal respect while letting you slide into the conversation smoothly. You can even soften it further by adding context, like, "Sorry to jump in, but I just remembered something relevant." This shows you're not trying to derail the conversation, but adding value to it. Sometimes, though, it's you or the other person who veers off track. Maybe you started talking about your weekend plans, but ended up ranting about traffic or your neighbor's loud dog. How do you get the conversation back on course? A smooth? Anyway, let's circle back to what I was saying. Does the job perfectly. Or, hold on, where were we? Oh, right, you can even blend these for a natural transition. So, where was I? Right, about that weekend trip. These phrases act like a gentle nudge to refocus the chat without making things awkward. If the other person's the one who's gone off topic, you might say, "That's interesting, but let's get back to." Or, "I love that story, but speaking of what we were discussing," these keep the conversation on track while staying polite and engaged. What about those moments when you're not entirely sure you caught what someone said? Clarifying is crucial to avoid misunderstandings and keep the conversation flowing smoothly. Try saying, "Just to clarify, are you saying?" Or, "Let me check. Do you mean?" These are great for casual settings and show you're paying attention. In a professional context, like customer service or a business meeting, you might say, "Could I confirm what you're requesting?" Or, "Just to make sure I'm following, you're saying?" For an even more formal tone, try, "Allow me to confirm my understanding of what you said." These phrases not only ensure you're on the same page, but also make the other person feel heard and respected. Native speakers use these all the time, so don't worry about sounding repetitive. It's a natural part of conversation. Agreeing and disagreeing are the heartbeat of any lively chat, and English offers a wealth of ways to express both. When you're on the same wavelength, keep it simple with, "Absolutely, I'm with you." Or, "You nailed it." For extra enthusiasm, try, "I couldn't agree more." Spot on. You can even add flair with, "That's exactly how I see it." Or, "You read my mind." These make the conversation feel warm and connected. But what if you only partially agree? You might say, "I see your point, but here's another way to look at it." Or, "I get where you're coming from, but I think differently because." These soften the disagreement while keeping the vibe friendly and open. If you want to sound a bit more formal, try, "I understand your perspective, but I'd like to offer a different angle." Or, "I agree to an extent, but here's where I differ." These phrases show you're open to discussion while standing your ground. If you completely disagree, stay respectful with, "I don't quite see it that way, honestly." Or, "I'm not sure I'm on board with that." In formal settings, add a touch of diplomacy. "With all due respect, I have a different perspective." Or, "I respectfully disagree on that point." If the conversation starts feeling tense or stuck, diffuse it with, "Let's agree to disagree and move on, shall we?" It's a classy way to pivot without burning bridges. You can even lighten the mood with, "Well, we'll just have to agree to differ. How about we talk about something else?" This keeps the conversation friendly and forward-moving. Speaking of moving forward, changing the topic is a lifesaver when a conversation stalls, gets awkward, or you've simply run out of things to say on the current subject. To shift gears subtly, try, "That reminds me, have you heard about?" Or, on a different note, "I was thinking." These create a smooth transition to a new topic. If you want to introduce something completely unrelated, go bold with, "Okay, completely off topic, but I have to tell you." Or, "Before I forget, let me share this." For a more casual vibe, try, "By the way, did I mention?" Or, "Oh, while I'm thinking of it." These phrases inject fresh energy and keep the conversation vibrant. If you're in a group setting and want to shift the focus, you might say, "This is a bit of a tangent, but I'd love to talk about." It's a natural way to pivot without dismissing what came before. Now, let's level up to handling controversial topics like politics, religion, or social issues. These can be conversational minefields, but with the right phrases, you can share your views thoughtfully and keep the discussion positive. Start with, "I know this might spark some debate, but here's my take." Or, "This is a tough topic, but I believe." To keep things open and respectful, try, "I don't expect everyone to agree, but I'd love to hear your thoughts." Or, I'm not here to stir the pot, just sharing my view. A fun idiom to lighten the mood is, I'm not trying to rock the boat here, but, or, I don't mean to ruffle any feathers, but here's what I think. These phrases show you're open to dialogue and respect differing opinions. If you want to emphasize the importance of the discussion, try, I know this is a polarizing issue, but I think it's worth talking about. Or, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I feel strongly that these set the stage for a thoughtful exchange without coming across as confrontational. If you're in a formal setting, you might say, I recognize this is a sensitive topic, but I'd like to share my perspective. Or, I understand there are diverse views on this, but here's mine. These keep the conversation professional and inclusive. Finally, how do you wrap up a conversation without making it awkward? Whether you're short on time, need to get back to work, or just ready to move on, having a few go-to phrases is key. Try, it's been awesome catching up, but I've got to run. Or, love this chat. Let's pick it up again soon. In a work setting, go with I'd better get back to things, but thanks for the great talk. For a warm, friendly exit, try, so glad we ran into each other. See you around. If you want to leave the door open for future chats, say, this was fun. Let's do it again soon. Or, I really enjoyed this. Catch you later. For a more formal tone, try, it's been a pleasure discussing this, but I should get going. These phrases leave the other person feeling valued and make your exit feel natural and positive. And there you have it. Over 50 powerful phrases to transform your English conversations into confident, engaging, and natural exchanges. These are the tools native speakers use every day, so keep an ear out for them in movies, podcasts, or real-life chats to see how they're used in context. Don't try to memorize all 50 at once. Pick a few from each category, practice them in your next conversation, and watch how they elevate your speaking skills. To make these phrases stick, try using them in different scenarios. For example, practice inviting opinions during a casual chat with a friend, or test out your interruption phrases in a group discussion. The more you use them, the more natural they'll feel. You can also record yourself practicing these phrases to hear how they sound and refine your delivery. Another tip is to pair these phrases with active listening. Nod, smile, or use small affirmations like, that's interesting, to show you're engaged. This combination makes you a conversation pro. Want to keep leveling up your English? Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at ank'e English for more tips, tricks, and lessons to boost your fluency. Don't miss my other videos linked below, where I dive into more ways to sound natural and confident in English. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's keep practicing together. See you in the next video.